Welcome to INAN's Student. INAN Student is a platform for law students to come here and deliver a lecture on the topic of their choice. Today we have with us law student Mrs. Aasavari Velankar Bhide. She is going to speak on the Posh Act 2013, Intent versus Impact, Practical Aspects. She is from Subhash Desai College of Law. So without wasting further time, I would request her to commence with the lecture. Thank you.
So, hello everyone, a very warm welcome. I am Mrs. Aasavari Velankar Bhide from Subhash Desai College of Law. First of all, I would like to thank the college, principal madam, our all professors, and also I am very grateful for my family for all their encouragement and support. So today, my topic is the sexual harassment of women at workplace, Act 2013. Intent versus impact, practical aspects. So you all must have seen one of those Instagram or Facebook reels where post attending posh mandatory session, behavior of male employees suddenly changes, and instead of shaking hands, they are doing namaste, or they are trying to avoid female colleagues absolutely, and the entire situation becomes very awkward. However, let me tell you, the Posh Act is not about, oh no, we cannot talk to female colleagues now, or we cannot shake hands with them, or pass by female associate, or sit next to them. So the core idea of the Act is to create a safe workplace, very respectful, inclusive workplace. So it does not ban friendly interactions, it encourages professional, safe, respectful environment. So if you read the short title of the Act very carefully, it says the sexual harassment of women at workplace, prevention, prohibition and redressal, Act 2013. Hence the intention behind the Act is to prevent the sexual harassment and to create safer workplace for women associates. Then it comes to prohibition, and the last step is redressal. So before beginning, I would like you some food for thoughts. So what do you mean by workplace? Are you aware about the concept of extended workplace? So any instance happens during the outing or picnics come under the purview of workplace, or they come under purview of organization. As per law, definition of complainant is aggrieved women. But do you think only women can be aggrieved at workplace? Harmless comments like hey beautiful, hey dear can come under sexual harassment. So I hope post completing the topic you will get answers of these questions. So today I will take you through few technicalities of the Act, then we'll come to intent versus impact, and lastly we'll see few scenarios and practical aspects of the Act. We'll not go into detail of the origin of Act or details about the Bhavari Devi case, Vishakha guidelines. As a law student, we all are aware about the same. But just to give you an overview about the Act, it mandates all workplace to ensure an environment free from sexual harassment. So what do you mean by sexual harassment? So the Act says the definition of sexual harassment, which includes physical contact and advances, demand or request of sexual favors, sexual colored remarks, showing pornography, any unwelcome physical, verbal or non-verbal conduct of that are sexual in nature. So the internal committee consists of presiding officer, who is a senior lady in the organization. Along with the presiding officer, there are two other members who are committed to the cause of women. One external member from NGO who is also committed to the cause of women. So at least one half of the total members so nominated shall be women. Any aggrieved woman can file the complaint within 3 months of the last date of incident. It can be extended to 6 months if proper condonation of delay is filed, proper justification is given. So within 7 working days, complaint copy should be forwarded to the respondent. Within 10 working days, respondent can provide proper justification, and post that inquiry will be conducted. With impartially, with all confidentiality will be maintained throughout the process. So there is also process called as conciliation. As name suggests, the matter will get resolved amicably post deciding certain terms and conditions. If not, then the entire investigation will take place, and depending on the outcome, The investigation based on all artifacts, email, witnesses, cross-examination, action will be taken, and findings and recommendations will be suggested by the IC. The report and findings will be provided to both the parties, complainant and respondent. So the entire investigation must complete within 90 days from the receipt of the complaint, and then IC can give their recommendation. Post that, within 60 days, management must take the actions as per suggested by the IC committee. It can be apology, warning memo, or even it can go to a strict action such as termination. So coming towards the second section, intent versus impact. Actus non facet reum nisi mens sit rea, means an act does not make a person guilty unless there is a guilty mind. So as a law student, we all are aware about the term which is used in criminal law, mens rea. It is a Latin term, refers to the guilty mental state, the lack of which negates the crime situation or any given occasion. The intent which is driving force behind the illegal conduct. However, when it comes to Posh Act, the intent is absolutely irrelevant. What matters is the most the impact on the aggrieved woman or aggrieved person. Sexual harassment is considered inherently subjective. So what matters most is how the conduct is perceived and experienced by the aggrieved person, and not the intent behind it. The law was shaped in such a way to prevent the dismissive attitude that often minimize women's complaints, and to ensure that unwelcome behavior is not excused by claims of innocence, misunderstanding or miscommunication. So this approach is preventive and remedial, aiming for a safe and equitable environment rather than merely punishing the offenders. So why do you think impact is more important? As I mentioned, sexual harassment is subjective. So what feels harmless to one may be deeply offensive for another. It may be depends on culture, background, upbringing of the person, or personal space. Definition of personal boundaries may differ from person to person. As nowadays workplace is more inclusive in nature, people interact with different people from different background, from different countries, nation, religion, states, and it is more important to become culturally literate and to respect each other's boundary. So let's take one example. Let's say methods of greeting. So if we talk about worldwide, the practices in US is a firm handshake along with eye contact is a standard way of greeting. Let's say in Japan, bowing is common way. So in India, we usually do namaste. In other countries, maybe peck on cheeks or hugs are common ways of greeting. Hence, it is very important to understand norms, social guides as per region, religion, geography as well. The act is preventive, as we have already discussed, but the core of the act is to prevent the sexual harassment and remedial and not punitive like criminal law. So to reiterate, the main focus is on creating safe work environment and not proving the accused mindset. So if we see some judicial review, Supreme Court states in Apparel Export Promotion Council versus A.K. Chopra, even gestures or comments, if unwelcome, are qualified as harassment. In Madras High Court states, decency is the yardstick, not the accused's intent. So let's take few work-related scenarios. In the Act, definition of sexual harassment is given very clearly. It is in black and white. However, many a times there are no explicit sexual demands, or there is no direct physical advances or direct sexual remarks. When it comes to the gray area between what can be considered as posh and what not, then IC will look at the impact on the complainant. So let's take scenario number 1. A manager says that dress look great on you. The intent was a friendly compliment. It may look friendly to one person, but it can be make other person very uncomfortable. So impact prevails. Comment can create a hostile environment. Even tone, gaze will also matter. Let's take scenario number 2. A colleague repeatedly touches another's shoulder while talking. The intent is, I was just being too friendly. She is like sister to me. But casual physical contact will also be if perceived unwelcome, can come under harassment under POSH. Let's take one example of digital harassment. An employee shares sexually colored jokes or memes in work-related WhatsApp group or individually. They can argue that it was just an icebreaker. However, if recipient feels unwelcome, offended, unsafe, yes, it will come under the act. Let's take one example of career threat. A manager casually hints that the promotion depends on being nice or spending time together outside the work. Manager claims it is just a joke, but it may create fear, pressure amounting to quid pro quo harassment. Let's take another example of unwelcome invitations. A colleague repeatedly invites another for dinner despite of clear refusal, or manager says that let's discuss your promotion over a cup of coffee. I was just wanted to know the person better. It may be the intent, but the impact is persistent behavior after the refusal is harassment. Scenario number 10, if we take comments on marital status, a manager repeatedly asks a female employee, why aren't you married yet? You should settle down. It may create discomfort and it may cross the professional boundaries. Such comments should be prohibited absolutely. So many a times there is no direct sexual harassment. However, there is body shaming, some loose talks, loose comments that are also considered under sexual harassment. So though the comments are absolutely unprofessional, unnecessary and should be avoided, however, the aggrieved person must communicate it very clearly that I am not liking this behavior, you should stop, say no there and then. So sometimes intention can be really genuine, but the other person can take it otherwise. So this act's impact can be seen in number of areas. Institutionalizing internal committee in workplace, mandatory training, awareness program and ensuring safer professional environment. Increasing women's confidence in coming forward with complaints due to the assurance of fair inquiry and protection during the proceedings such as interim relief. Even legal codes have supported the Act's principle by emphasizing that the intent is not sufficient defense and employers must meet their obligation to create safer workplace. This legal backing has contributed to transformation in workplace norms and policies, particularly in larger organizations. Despite these positive changes, the Posh Act faces several real-world hurdles. Underreporting, largely due to the organizational resistance, fear of backlash, the cultural stigma. Many employees in male-dominated sectors and government organizations feel insecure about reporting harassment. There is inconsistency in compliance, particularly in SMEs and informal sectors. These workplaces often lack the resources or will to establish effective IC's awareness program and disadvantaging vulnerable workers. The law's reach remain limited. The informal sector, which employs a large proportion of women, is still underprotected, and many organizations focus on compliance over meaningful change. Also, the mechanism to tackle false complaint is not robust. Sometimes management interference in the inquiry is too much, which can vitiate the inquiry. Also, there can be lack of confidentiality. It should not become profitable conversation and it should not breach the confidentiality. Some legal formalism and procedural delays which discourage victim from pursuing the complaint. So there are few recommendations and improvements to bridge the gap between Posh Act's intent and real world impact. Recent analysis and expert recommendations include enhancing digital complaint and monitoring mechanism for greater privacy and accessibility, mandatory in-depth training for all employees, special focus on management and IC members, sector-specific implementations and guidelines, especially for informal sector, more robust penalties for non-compliance and mismanagement of complaints, a cultural shift moving from tick box compliance mentality to a genuine cultural change that addresses gender bias and support inclusivity. So to summarize, the Posh Act 2013 represents a progressive step towards the gender justice and workplace safety in India. Its intent to safeguard individuals through impact-based analysis has transformed legal approach to harassment, but its full potential can be realized through ongoing reform, robust enforcement, and widespread cultural changes. Thank you so much.
Aasavari, thank you very much. Basically, you had chosen a very different topic, that is intent and impact. Because we have heard a lot of posh videos, but this particular area which you had chosen was really a unique to hear. So thank you very much for that. A small token from Hammurabi to you.